This is the reading of In the Court of Appeals of North Carolina, State of North Carolina v. Damian Alejandro Quiterio-Morrison, Part 1. Appeal by defendant from judgments entered 1 February 2024 by Judge Eric C. Morgan in Forsyth County Superior Court, heard in the Court of Appeals 22nd April 2025. Attorney General Jeff Jackson by Assistant Attorney General J. Joy Strickland for the state. J. Clark Fisher for defendant appellant. Hampson, judge. Factual and procedural background. Damian Alejandro Quiterio-Morrison, defendant, appeals from judgments entered pursuant to jury verdicts finding him guilty of first-degree murder and concealing unnatural death by secretly burying a human body. The record before us, including evidence presented at trial, tends to reflect the following. On 5 July 2022, defendant was indicted for first-degree murder and concealing unnatural death by secretly burying a dead human body. The case came on for trial on 22 January 2024. At trial, the state's evidence tended to show that on the evening of 21 May 2021, Isaiah Mitchell and his girlfriend, Evelyn Avila Noella, went to a bar in Winston-Salem. Upon walking in, Avila Noella recognized Kevin Patricio Cisneros, Kael Quintero, and defendant. Mitchell and Avila Noella had been in a relationship for 7 years. However, they separated for a 6-month period between June 2020 and December 2020. During that time, Avila Noella had a romantic relationship with Cisneros. The three men kept looking at Mitchell and Avila Noella. Mitchell got irritated and kind of bucked at the men and said, "What are you looking at?" The men were giggling and talking amongst themselves. Mitchell drove himself and Avila Noella home around 1 a.m. After arriving home, Avila Noella received a call from defendant's mother. Mitchell answered the phone. Avila Noella testified Mitchell was very irritated and he and the person on the other end of the phone line were kind of having a verbal altercation. Mitchell left with his phone, Avila Noella's phone, and the keys to his car, a silver Dodge Charger. Avila Noella drove to the home of Mitchell's aunt to see if she could contact Mitchell. Their attempts at contacting Mitchell were unsuccessful. Cisneros is referred to the parties' briefs as Kevin Patricio, Kevin Cisneros, and Kevin Patricio Cisneros. Quintero is defendant's cousin. Avila Noella owned the car, but it was primarily driven by Mitchell. In the morning, Avila Noella still had not heard from Mitchell. Avila Noella, some of her friends, and some of Mitchell's family members went to defendant's and Cisneros' home to try to find out what happened. 2 vehicles were parked outside of defendant's home, but no one answered the door. At Cincenaro's home, Cincenaro said he didn't know where Mitchell was and asserted Mitchell had never showed up. Avila Noyola and Mitchell's family went back to defendant's home. They stood up there for the majority of the day, but defendant never came out of the house. The family then reported Mitchell missing. Defendant called Avila Noyola later that evening. Defendant said Mitchell never showed up and suggested Mitchell might have gotten in a car accident. Outside the defendant's house, officers investigated Mitchell's disappearance, found 2 .45 caliber bullet casings, a pair of earrings Mitchell wore on the night in question, and observed blood stains on the driveway. Blood stains containing Mitchell's DNA were also found in defendant's bedroom and laundry room. Avila Noyola's phone was found broken on the street outside defendant's home. Snapchat messages sent between Avila Noyola's and defendant's account showed Avila Noyola account saying, "Don't be a itch slide." Defendant's account responded with his home address. Laura Smith, one of the defendant's neighbors, testified she had heard 2 gunshots around 2 a.m. in the morning of 22 May 2021. She went to her window and saw a Dodge Charger and someone wearing a white shirt with a neon or glow-in-the-dark emblem and a ball cap walking behind the car. Smith heard a car door and 3 more gunshots. She testified the person she saw walking near the car was not defendant. Edgar Santamaria, defendant's cousin, testified defendant and Cincenaros showed up at his house around 2 a.m. Defendant had a black eye. Santamaria testified, "I don't recall who told me, but one of them just confessed that they had a guy." The state presented GPS data obtained from the defendants, Cincenaros, and Mitchell's cell phones, tracking their movements on the night in question. The data obtained from Mitchell's cell phone showed it in the area of defendant's house around 2:08 a.m. Mitchell's phone traveled from defendant's house to Santamaria's house around 15 minutes later at the same time as defendant and Cincenaros. Around 6 a.m., Cincenaros and defendant's phones traveled west, but Mitchell's phone remained at Santamaria's house or address. Around 9:54 a.m., Mitchell's phone lost connection with the network for some reason. No data was available for Mitchell's phone after that, and Mitchell's phone was never found. Defendants and Cincenaro's phones traveled to the area of a horse track in Yadin County. Defendants and Cincenaros remained at the horse track for approximately 30 minutes before returning to the area of Winston-Salem to the area of defendant's house, and then they split up. That is part 1 of this appeals case. Stay tuned for part 2.